Jambo and welcome to Kenya. I'm here today in Sasab in the Samburu region because yesterday I flew on Brussels Airlines' inaugural flight from Brussels to Nairobi. Now I flew on their A330-300 in business class the first time I've flown the carrier since it had its refurbishment. Let's see what the experience was like.
Like most of my trips, I start in London Heathrow Terminal 2, and as usual, I'll be taking a connecting flight to Brussels to start the real adventure. As I had already checked in online and didn't need to drop off any bags, I headed straight to the fast track, which got us airside in mere minutes at this time of day. Although I could access all of the Star Alliance lounges, because we were departing from the A gates this morning, I headed to the Lufthansa lounge. I could use the Senator lounge if I wanted, but there was plenty of space in the main lounge areas. Regular viewers will know this isn't my favourite lounge, as I find it pretty corporate. And it still has this barely used business centre too. The food and drink was pretty standard, but enough to get my much needed first caffeine fix of the day. As the lounge features this somewhat obstructed view, and it was almost time to head to the gate anyways, I headed down to gate A19 and caught a glimpse of a very special aircraft that was going to take us on this 30-minute hop to Brussels. Brussels Airlines has a series of special edition liveries on its short-hauled aircraft called Belgian Icons, and we were on a Mare, which was created to support Tomorrowland. It's certainly eye-catching from pretty much every angle. Boarding was quick and on time, and I was one of the very first aboard. So, for those of you who don't know, Brussels Airlines is part of the Lufthansa family, and as such, these aircraft feature the same cabin interiors as the rest of the fleet. And in business class, that means a blocked middle seat, and not a lot else. The cabin was clean, and the first row does offer some pretty decent legroom. Now I have to start with a negative. I'm not really a fan of this new dotted livery. For me, it's not timeless, or does it really say anything about the airline? But I have to hand it to them. At least the branding of the interior of the new fleet features the new logo, as there are remainders of the existing logo pretty much everywhere else. Even with a pretty full load, we were pushing back on time for this super short flight across the Channel to Belgium. Although I wasn't really expecting anything on this quick hop, after takeoff I was surprised to see the cabin crew quickly prepare for a meal service and deliver us a rather interesting breakfast of a quiche and cake. It seemed a little bit early, but it was tasty nonetheless, and drinks were offered. And as soon as service began, it came to an end, as we were already on our descent down to Brussels Airport. Now, we had a bit of a tight connection, and after a little kerfuffle with the airport staff on exiting, we found our way to a shortcut transit bus that connects both B and T gates, where Brussels Africa flights depart from, cutting the need for that lengthy walk. The other great thing about this bus, which comes every 10 minutes, is that it delivers you right in front of the airline's latest lounge, the Sunrise Lounge, which features a super stylish entranceway into the main lounge area. The entrance corridor plays home to a few small nooks and a private TV area, as well as a couple of small workstations, while the rest of the lounge enjoys more open seating around a huge tree and expansive views across the apron. The food was great, and they had laid on special cakes for the launch of this very first flight to Nairobi. Before we knew it, it was time to head to Gate 65 for the festivities, which included musicians, local and international film crews, and a special cake to mark the ceremony. It felt like almost all of the head office had arrived for the event, and it was great to see such proud staff waving off this important flight, which Brussels took over from sister airline Swiss after they dropped it recently. We even caught a glimpse of the airline CEO, who actually joined us on the flight too. On boarding, we were thrilled to see the crew beaming with pride, from the captain hanging out the Kenyan and Belgian flags from the cockpit to the crew, who had centuries of experience between them. On first boarding, you are greeted by the new cabin, which features light wood veneers and dark navy blue carpets. There's also neutral tones throughout the cabin that create a calming space. It feels smart, almost nautical, although the airline and design studio tried to give a boutique hotel vibe, although I struggled to see where this design brief comes through. That said, considering it's a high-density business class product, it feels contemporary and better than the Delta and Austrian seats that we had recently flown on, even though they are the same product. The Art Nouveau design flourishes make sense for a Belgian airline, but they feel at odds in the cabin, and I wish the airline had opted for a less obvious interpretation. Welcome drinks were offered, and great to see them offering a non-alcoholic cocktail featuring a rose lemonade, as well as real champagne and fruit juice. Toast to the new route over, I took the time to take a look around the seat. Each seat offers a side monument that has a mood light, USB and M power, as well as a holder for the headphones, which features the seat number 2. There's a personal reading light, and below both seat controls and a hand controller for the IFE. These seats can be inflated to increase the firmness, and there's even a slow massage function available too. Lined with a hint of red, there's the drinks holder, and beside it the button for extending the table, as well as more seat controls. A nice touch is that the monitor can tilt down for when you are in bed mode. The hand controller is basic, but acts like a trackpad and shows the flight time remaining. The IFE itself is pretty extensive, but there weren't that many recent releases on there. There's a nice touch allowing you to connect your phone to the screen if you have the app already on your phone. The headphones were okay, but not great, and a couple of them didn't work. They also feature the older logo, as does the headrest. The amenity kits are great. They are actually the culmination of different artisans from Belgium. One made the kit, one created the unique patterns inside, and another producing the skincare range that features in them. Brussels Airport also gave special chocolates for this occasion. As we pushed back, we were given the usual special water cannon salute to start the journey. No matter how old I get, I still find these special occasions fun. After takeoff, the service began, which featured hot towels and the menus, which were handed out by the chief purser. I have to say, my expectation of Brussels was probably less than that of Austrian or Swiss, as it's always been positioned as the lesser-known airline of the group. But looking at this menu, I couldn't help but be amazed by the variety of drinks on offer. 6 different wines, over a dozen beers, cocktails, mocktails, the list was endless, and better than some much larger, more established carriers. Service was prompt, and I have to hand it to the crew. You could see that they loved their job. Perhaps because it was the inaugural, but they really had the best of the best operating this cabin. I started with a glass of the Brut champagne, which was quite complex yet light, and I couldn't help but opt for a mocktail that caught my eye too, a spicy ginger mango, which featured an actual chili as a dressing. Shortly after, service began and tables were laid while the food came out on a tray. I went for the beetroot, which had oodles of flavour thanks to a pipette of citrus dressing, which added to the theatre of the whole meal. Afterwards, the main meals were presented on the cart, allowing me to choose not just by the description, but by how they looked too. I opted for the fish, which was just melt in the mouth delicious, light and perfectly cooked.
Wonderful, thank you very much.
Afterwards, my sweet tooth was completely satisfied by this delicious, if somewhat hard, chocolate tart. But that's nothing that couldn't be fixed by an after-meal green tea to settle the stomach for the 8-hour day flight ahead of me. After service and everyone had settled in for the flight, I headed to the toilet to check out what they had to offer. So the toilets were pretty basic but spacious. There are just 2 for this cabin on the A330, and they still feature the old branding. But there's a plastic flower and amenities to add a little bit of character. Next to the toilet is the main galley, which turns into a self-service bar for business and premium economy during the flight, including a fridge which offers a wine bottle motif on it, although there's only soft drinks and snacks available here. Heading back into business class, I got back to my seat and decided to prepare it for an afternoon siesta. My seat 2D is slightly away from the aisle, offering more privacy and comfort. The seat itself is pretty long, and even with these personal storage units either side, I didn't find it that restrictive. There's a rather thin but useful blanket, but the cushion is oversized and was nice and fluffy to the touch. The footwell is pretty restrictive, but if you want the most space, opt for row 1. With a gin and tonic and after lunch chocolates, I settled into a good movie and dozed off for a bit. I was woken by the great mood lighting, which simulated a sunrise or sunset, and I could see the crew kicking into gear again, this time preparing for a light pre-landing meal. The meal was like a small Greek meze. Although it was small, it hit the spot, and followed by a decadent ice cream, I was truly sated as we started our gradual descent into Kenya. As the crew readied the cabin for arrival, I was left feeling pleasantly surprised. Where the seats and cabins are good, well, let's face it, they're not super competitive, but they match the price point you are paying for. But what money can't buy is this wonderfully attentive crew that have pride in their jobs. The boutique hotel might not be apparent in the physical product, but it's certainly evident in the service touches. From the gift boxes of chocolates to the extensive drinks menu, Brussels is punching above its weight where it counts. If the airline can look to offer a more compelling seat in the near future, we will see the airline being one boutique carrier that I'll be actively looking to book on again and again. So before the arrival greeting to beat all greetings, let me thank you once again for following my channel, and please do get involved in the comments below. Like, subscribe, even tell your neighbours to help spread the word. And until next time, safe flying.